Hello everyone, welcome to StillGoode Consignments. Today we're doing something a bit different. Instead of shopping the entire store for deals, we're focusing on a handful of items that catch our eye. Along the way, we will discover their history, what makes them special, and how these treasures can bring beauty, character, and elevated living to our home. Let's see what we discover. You could outfit a home with all the finds in this consignment store, and I have done just that over the years. With furniture, home decor, even some fashion accessories with retired James Avery jewelry, Brahmin handbags, and lightingware with some fabulous Waterford lamps. Let's take a look at this collection of Cobalt cut to clear. Many possibilities for these pieces, and they also make great gifts. This bed vase would fit just about anywhere in your home. And let's take a look at the price tag. The initial price is $30. And if you're lucky enough for it to stick around another month, you get an additional discount. And this has an original sticker. I love that it tells the story and is handmade in Poland. And this jar has many uses. We'll take a closer look at this with the classic cuts. Cobalt cut to clear. This biscuit jar is purposeful. I can see this with cotton balls on your vanity, fill it with tea cookies. Could even be part of a display in your living space. And the current price is $36. You want to watch those price tags. And Cobalt is my very favorite. It has an interesting history, not only with the glass cutting techniques, but also the color. It's been used since the ancient Egyptians to color glass and ceramics. It gained popularity during the Victorian era. This sweet and petite vase almost looks like Nachtmann with those thumbprint designs. Would be a great gift. Take it to your local florist to fill with flowers. The initial price is $36 and it has gone down. A great find. And we see this wall of glass. And quite a showpiece with this Cobalt cut to clear ice bucket. $168 is the initial price. It reminds me of the Waterford Crystal Millennium series. They made a similar ice bucket. Cobalt is an important pigment in glass making. The smalt process involves grinding up that pigment to create this beautiful blue hue. The modern glass making with the cobalt is attributed to Gustav Schürer, a Bohemian glassmaker in about 1540. Barware is harder to find and cut to clear. I was told this by a flea market seller in Germany. When you see it, you want to grab it. Exquisite detail. The process of cutting this glass dates back to the 17th century, where lead crystal is dipped in a colored glass and it is put on a cutting wheel to revert back to the clear. You will see some geometric patterns, and we notice the reflections and refractions of this glass, which brings out the beauty. Cut to clear was made in many different colors, including amethyst, which is the hardest to find. These are Oshka crystal hawk wines. Lots of collectibles here, including the familiar Jasperware. We often find Wedgwood pieces here, with blue being the most popular color. But they may not all be from that particular company. Here we see the 6 towns that shaped a global industry in Staffordshire, Stoke-on-Trent. And we still find these pieces today in antique, consignment, and thrift. We'll talk about some of the differences. This vase is an incredible bargain. It took me all of 2 seconds to know that I'm taking this home. $24 was the initial price. Always pick up the Jasperware. This vase is well priced at $24 and would elevate any space and great for gifting. When we think of this product, it's usually associated with Wedgwood. Josiah Wedgwood created this proprietary formula in the 1770s. It was the first non-porous, unglazed stoneware that could be colored with metal oxides, and his secret formula involved barium sulfate. found in the nearby lead mines in Derbyshire. We'll talk more about this product and why this might not be Wedgwood. Dudson was founded in 1800, inspired by Wedgwood and their Jasperware. Some shared characteristics are the neoclassical design, applied relief, and the matte finish. Jasperware was quickly copied by other factories in England, such as Adams and Dudson, and also on the continent. Jean-Baptiste Stahl in Mettlach, Germany, developed a line of Jasperware for Villeroy and Boch. I believe this to be Dudson. If we turn it over and look at the back stamps, we don't see Wedgwood. A series of numbers, 1020, the letter A, which is probably representing the artisan, the numbers for the blank or mold, in this case a vase. And it also gives it away that it features cherubs with the flutes. We don't see that often with Wedgwood. This is Wedgwood Jasperware here with the bicentennial plate from 1776. And now we are already celebrating our semi-quincentennial. This is well priced at $20, and we have lots of scenes representing our nation's founding. This is a great piece and would be a nice display for your July 4th celebration with all of the history here. Wedgwood shares the history along with the back stamp. Independence Hall, they made this to celebrate America's 200 years of independence. And I love the history shared with this piece. More cobalt cut to clear with a modern look. This bowl is a statement piece. I think we often associate the cut to clear with the Hobstar design, something a bit more traditional. This is a great example of a modern option with the cobalt cut to clear. And more beautiful cobalt glass. Some great collections with Swarovski, Yadro, Herond, but I have my eye on this bowl with a rich history and some beautiful colors. And I have some ideas for this. As always, let's look for that back stamp, the roadmap to the history of a piece. Made in England. The initial price is $22. An English bowl with a bit of history. You'll notice this is a chintz pattern and emari with the rich hues of rust colors, cobalt, green, and gold accents. When we turn it over and look at the back stamp, we see it is the bittersweet pattern from Royal Calden. It's eye-catching and can be a functional statement piece in your home. I can see it filled with mandarin oranges, in your guest room, wrapped soaps with a linen fingertip towel nestled inside, or placed on a stack of books on your coffee table. Even for your keys and wallet, on an entry table. And it has such rich history. Let's delve into this, dating back to the 1850s at Calden Place Works. Calden was established in 1774 in Stoke-on-Trent. In 1930, they secured a royal appointment and became Royal Calden. Here's a look at one of their showrooms. Always look up, you never know what you might find. A Schönbeck chandelier, and they sometimes have Waterford. The Great Wall of China, one of my favorite areas of the store for tabletop inspiration. And this pattern is dreamy. Wedgwood Wild Strawberry. I'll share some of the history and archival patterns that led to this most successful Wedgwood design. The initial price was $9.98. It's already gone down. Wedgwood Wild Strawberry is a classic China pattern that launched in 1965, reflecting the rich British heritage and inspired by the English countryside. It was one of my bridal selections in 1995. We also sometimes see this in period dramas, even though it is not the correct year. They still incorporate this for its beauty, and it does have an interesting history with Wedgwood, going back into the archives. This pattern was created a year before in 1964 by chief designer Robert Minkton. It's one of the best-selling Wedgwood patterns. And when in doubt, always turn it over and look for that back stamp. They also made a giftware line, which is not unusual for Wedgwood. This bud vase is part of the set. and you can blend it beautifully with your white dishes and also depression glass. And this gravy boat is a wonderful addition and part of the set. Let's take a journey into the Wedgwood archives to understand the history and inspiration of this pattern. Here's some of the design inspiration. Starting in the Victorian era, these abstract motifs that became a bit more stylized and floral with the scrolling vines. And these are some of the patterns that brought inspiration to the design that we know today. If you're trying to decide on a set of dishes at a consignment store, look for serving pieces. These are much more expensive than place settings, and even though you can blend these with your white dishes, it's nice to have some matching pieces. The oval bowl is one of my favorites. It fits just about anywhere on your table, and you can fill it with scones, strawberries, or a vegetable. Glassware is always worth a look. And you may be surprised at how your china can blend with so many different colors. It might be a small detail that could bring out this beautiful blue. And it's not only a wall of china, it's also the Great Wall of Glass. These have an interesting design with a storied history, and it's the perfect size for your beverage. Add a pop of color to your table with vintage glassware. This is the Moon and Stars made by L.E. Smith, a company founded in 1907 by Lou Smith in Jeanette, Pennsylvania. They later moved to the Mount Pleasant factory. It was not originally their pattern. It was started by Adams & Company in 1874, known as Palace. It was made in clear, and some years later, the L.G. Wright Company named it Moon and Stars. It's made in a variety of colors, and I am loving these. This is not something we see every day in a consignment store. Mid-century glass that draws inspiration from Europe and is American-made. With the original sticker, Viking handmade. I will tell you more about the history and the origins, which may surprise you, tied to a company that you may think of with elegant glass from the Depression era. We can learn a lot from these pieces. I'll tell you all about it. Mid-century glass with a bit of history. Their origins are in New Martinsville, West Virginia, where they were founded as the New Martinsville Glass Company in 1901, later became the Silver Glass Company, and in 1944 they reorganized to Viking Glass. The Epic line was introduced in their 1957 Viking catalog. The Epic line is a legacy of innovation. We've seen quite a few of these at the Houston Glass Show and Sale. This is the Epic Atomic Persimmon Bowl. This could rest nicely on your dining table. I can even see a bowl placed inside. Whether you have a modern or traditional home, this would add some interest. They capitalized on the post-war Swedish modern glass. You will see the elongated shape, the bold color, and they're also known for swung vases. More collections and pops of color with vintage glass. The colonial blue basket catches my eye. Let's look at some of the lower shelves. For an unusual piece of china. This is hand painted, a tall creamer that would have been part of a set. And the back stamp tells us it is Lenox with the stylized L, with a bleak back stamp, which is rather unexpected, $32 for the initial price. And there's a lot of history hiding behind this piece with ties to the White House china. I'll tell you more about it. It's a little creamer with a big history. We see on the back stamp it is marked Lenox and Bleak, and that is known as American Bleak. They were inspired by the Irish Parian china from County Fermanagh in Northern Ireland that we have found in this store and discussed the history. This creamer is stately, and it's a company that was founded in 1889 as the Ceramic Arts Company by Walter Scott Lenox, a name you will recognize, and his partner, Jonathan Coxon, that you probably don't recognize, and that's because Mr. Lenox bought him out in 1906 and changed the name to Lenox. American Bleak you will find with two different back stamps. If it's before 1906, you will see the letter CAC intertwined for Ceramic Arts Company, stamped Bleak, and after 1906, Lenox, as this one is, along with Bleak. Many of the blanks were sold to companies such as Picard, where they gilded, enameled, and hand-painted pieces to sell as their own. Lenox China has a strong presence in the U.S. market and also in the White House. You may think of the Reagan China, but it actually dates back to 1918 when Woodrow Wilson and the First Lady wanted to have official China. Designer Frank Holmes from Lenox worked with them to design the Cobalt and gold and the very first with a presidential seal. And prior to that, it was mostly French or English China used in the White House. And they had some remnants of the Edith Roosevelt China, which was simply ordered from Wedgwood. It was not specifically designed. And that is quite a journey for the White House China. A nice selection of the best-selling pattern from Imperial glass. It has ties to a French glass and also colonial America. It's not often that we find this many pieces in a consignment store. And if you're looking for more elegant glass of the Depression era, mark your calendars August 15th and 16th. The Houston Glass Club is sponsoring the Vintage Glass Show and Sale in Rosenberg, Texas. Some unusual pieces and the perfect tumblers for your table. These platters and plates are great for serving sweets. You'd be surprised how often you use these. A great selection of Imperial Candlewick. This company started in 1901. It was founded by Edward Muhlman in Bel Air, Ohio. He started producing glass in about 1904. But it wasn't until this pattern that they achieved their best success. Candlewick launched at the 1936 Wheeling Centennial Celebration in West Virginia. It was named after the colonial embroidery technique and inspired by French cannonball glass. It's not just another covered box. This was made with a specific purpose in mind. I wonder if you might know. It has many possibilities. Some pieces in the collection I have not seen before. This rectangular covered box, you'll notice it's slightly domed with a lid, was marketed as a cigarette holder. You could place a gift card inside to present your gift, maybe even a Limoges box or a collectible that peeks through. I see so many possibilities for this piece. This butter dish is my favorite. My friend Michelle collects these. The initial price is $28. I will keep an eye out for this one if it goes down. But things sell so quickly, might be out of luck there. And this salad server set, it's not often that they survive the years. Great find. My mother had some from Cambridge with a ruby handle. It would be a nice addition to your tabletop collection for serving. And look at this small dish. It's divided. Also has many possibilities, and the price is right. I always pick up this Imperial Candlewick divided dish when I find it at an antique consignment or thrift. You could place some homemade goodies inside or chocolate truffles. Wrap it in cello with a French wired ribbon. You've got a great gift, and it is sustainable packaging. Absolutely love this dish. Love the teacups and saucers. And these would be ideal chargers. Not something we find often when we're out shopping the secondary market. These would be a lot more expensive. For a collector, $42 for a set of 4. This pattern is my cup of tea. It could blend from a vintage to traditional or modern setting. The initial price is $40 for a set of 5 cups and saucers, and you know this goes with every pattern. All I can think of is, where was this table when our daughter was in college? We moved her from a dorm to an apartment that had a dining nook. I would have paid twice the money for this. Unfortunately, we ended up at a box store and nothing of quality. This is a great find. I found the perfect table, and the price is absolutely incredible. $208, and it's about to go down even further. And this one is a Drexel Heritage. I'll tell you more about the history, and we'll take a closer look. This drop leaf is a space-saving design. I often wonder why modern furniture manufacturers don't embrace this. Drexel was founded in Drexel, North Carolina in 1903. In 1968, they merged with the Heritage Furniture Company to form Drexel Heritage. Their mid-century heyday was from about 1950 to 1975. This is a mahogany table, quality, incredible deal, and let's take a look at these gorgeous legs. This is a distinct design. You've probably seen me feature this at an estate sale. Our dining room table is also this era, and I will tell you more about the origins of the designer and how he was influenced by European styles and English neoclassicism. We see the influence of Duncan Phyfe with these legs. He was born in Scotland in 1768 and immigrated to America, moved to Albany, New York with his family, later apprenticed with a New York cabinet maker and opened his own business. He took a lot of inspiration from European styles and neoclassicism. This is a distinct look for a Duncan Phyfe table. A drop leaf table is a wise choice. It fits just about anywhere in your home, and you are shopping sustainably. It is solid wood, not something you find in furniture stores today. All the more reason to shop your local antique consignment or thrift, and you can't beat the price. We saved this sweet, petite seating for last. You'll notice the elegant carved frame that's inspired by an 18th century design. And with that rich velvet upholstery that adds depth and luxury. I'll tell you more about the design influence, and it's gone down to $385. I love pieces that tell the history, which you can incorporate into your space. This Louis XVI style settee is a great example of French neoclassic design with the carved wood, the beautiful hues, and that rich velvet upholstery. This is quite a departure from Louis XIV with the heavy Baroque and Louis XV with the ornate and elaborate Rococo style. I can see this as a great addition to your space. Statement seating. You can bring timeless elegance and visual interest to your space with this. I'm loving the feel of the fabric, and this could go in just about any room of your home, an entryway, hallway, even a bedroom. This is one of my favorite finds today. It's been a great day at StillGoode Consignments. There's always something wonderful to discover. And understanding the history of a piece gives us more appreciation for the quality and craftsmanship and the artisans who've dedicated their lives to creating these wonderful pieces. And it's nice that we can shop these on the secondary market. The best treasures aren't always the rarest or most expensive. They're the ones that bring beauty, history, and meaning into our everyday lives. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Which find might be your favorite today? Thanks again for joining Lady Mary Beth. Elevate your everyday with consignment shopping.